Hey, what's up, Roxstars? It's Rox with a little bit of talk about what's at the top of the blogs. So let's get to it. All right, Roxstars, let's just get right to it because I have to be back to my office within the hour. We're going to get through this pretty quickly, you guys. First up, politics, Super Tuesday. It was just this past Tuesday, and 14 states did participate in Super Tuesday. Georgia usually is part of it. We weren't a part of it this year. Instead, California, who's usually not a part of it, was involved this year. Okay, and I told you guys what the 14 states were last week. I will tell you who won what. Okay, by all accounts measured, Joe Biden did way better than anybody expected, and won. I almost want to, was it 9 or 10 states? Okay, so it says here that he won Alabama, Arkansas, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia. Okay, Sanders won California, Colorado, Utah, and Vermont. As of right now, Biden has delegates. Bernie Sanders has 388 delegates. Elizabeth Warren has 36. So really there's no, there's not much chance that Elizabeth Warren will be winning. So they expect her to drop out any day now. However, they're saying that Elizabeth Warren is probably shopping around her endorsement, trying to figure out who her camp should get behind to, whoever most aligns with what her desires were, and of her people that were interested in having her run for president. So she's kind of shopping it around. We know that she has she's had some irritations with Bernie Sanders in the past. We don't know if she's going to get behind him or Joe Biden. And then, of course, Bloomberg, I think he has 12 delegates. So he dropped out. And he ended up putting his full endorsement and his $400 and something million in advertising money and all of that behind Joe Biden, which will give Joe Biden an extremely large push. I'm kind of where Bloomberg is right now. It is all about making sure that a Democrat wins this next election. Whoever seems to have the most momentum is who I'm going to get behind. I was just kind of waiting to see who was going to come out of this on top. And I know I have a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters out there. And they're saying that it's not over. Definitely not over for Bernie Sanders. I tried to do a lot of research today and, over the past few days, trying to really read up on this whole delegates versus super delegates thing. It's such an involved process. We would be here all day if I tried to explain it to you. I don't even 100% understand it. All I know is that you have to have 1,991 delegates in order to get the nomination. If you don't have that, then there's something where the super delegates get involved and they can vote however which way they want to. Okay, and this all happens at the Democratic Convention, but they've made some changes to the whole process after the 2016 election. So it's really involved, and I just kind of tell everybody to try to make sure that you read up on it and get a clearer understanding. I don't even know, that whole electoral votes and counting the population of the state, and it's all of that is mixed in. Okay, it's not just you going out and voting for the person that you're voting for. Okay, you're actually voting for the representative, I guess, that is going to vote in place, for that state if they have the majority, and according to a number of different things. So that is what is happening there. Joe Biden definitely has a good push right now, and we are fully into the swing of things. All right, everybody is wondering when President Obama is going to give his endorsement. I am positive he won't do that until we find out who wins this Democratic convention. Once we find out who is going to win that and will definitely be going up against YSAP, then we'll hear from President Obama. Okay, so that's what's happening there on the Super Tuesday. I hope all of you guys did participate and exercised your right to vote. Debbie was telling me that it was a whole bunch of just really old people that was voting. I was like, yeah, you know, old people are always gonna vote because they remember when they couldn't. All right, and it's the newer generations that are not quite as involved as one would like them to be. So that's what that is, but hopefully you guys did go out and exercise your rights. So we'll see, but right now Joe Biden is in the lead. So I want to give a special shout out to my Nashville Roxstars, my Tennessee Roxstars out there. There was a very powerful and fast moving tornado that moved through Nashville on Tuesday, I believe it was. They said Putnam County was the worst hit. As of yesterday, when I was reading up on it, they said that there were 24 people that was confirmed dead. 5 of those were children under 13 years old. There's still 3 people that are missing. I think they said there has been, you know, somewhere close to 100 people that were injured. It was a horrible storm, somewhere around 165 miles per hour. And for I think that they say a 50-mile stretch, which is a very huge stretch of land for it to be wreaking havoc. They said it was fast moving, but even when they're fast moving, when they're extremely powerful like that, I mean, it can flatten out a town. And when you look at the news, you can tell that it has done just that. They said that the 3 that were missing, that was last night. I'm not sure if they may have found those bodies by now, because by now I'm sure that they're not looking for survivors. They're looking for bodies, which is very sad. The weather is just so crazy. Right? I mean, I'm so tired of the rain here. But you know, some days it's warm. Other days it's very cold. It might be raining, but it'll be windy, and then it'll be warm. And, you know, so everything is real volatile. And I'm not surprised that they had that bad weather. And I think we're going to have a pretty bad, I feel like we're probably going to have a bad hurricane season this year, because this weather is just out of control. I'm so sick of the rain. So sick of the rain. But anyway, my problems with this rain is not as large as my rock stars and everybody else out there in Nashville, Tennessee, who have suffered. Our prayers go up to everybody out there who was affected, who may know some people that were affected, family, friends, whatever. You guys keep your head up, and hopefully you guys will be able to get back to regular life as soon as possible. You guys, so the coronavirus, I swear, I feel like this is going to be a segment every week, okay? As this virus continues to grow and grow and grow, Congress is now set to approve today $8.3 billion to fight against the virus and find some sort of treatment for COVID-19. As of now, 11 people have died in the United States. 10 of those people are in Seattle, Washington. Or in the state of Washington. I have a lot of family out there. I'm starting to feel like, damn, maybe I should be, you know, checking on them to make sure everybody is okay out there. The other one person that has died is down in California. That person was actually on a cruise ship. And now they have quarantine the cruise ship somewhere off the coast of California, down south somewhere in southern California, and they're making sure that they test everybody on that cruise ship before, you know, they let them go. So yeah, suffice it to say, this disease is definitely here. This virus is definitely here. People are definitely being infected. It's here. The good news is, out of the 95,000 people that have had the disease, 50,000 of them have recovered and have been released. And are no longer in quarantine or anything like that, or going on about their daily lives. Now, I don't know what happened to the other 45,000. Like, when I was reading that, I was like, okay, 95 minus 50. Okay, what happened to everybody else? What they doing? There's been 3,200 deaths. The United States is really trying to catch up and get their research in. YSAP said that he wants the antidote, he wants the medication to be available, by the summer. Of course, the health officials have said the shit won't be ready for like 18 months. So you're going to have to deal with it. Okay. I don't really know what YSAP is talking about, but does he ever really know what he's talking about, you guys? He's got Pence, who is, it just makes no sense that you have a deadly disease that's running rampant and it is a pandemic at this point, and you have the vice president who has absolutely no knowledge about anything medical, okay, anything of this such. I mean, you have no faith in your people that are running the health organizations and things out here, that you feel like you have to, I mean, just a dictator, you guys. Anyway, I won't even go off on that tangent, okay, because he's stupid, and that's what he's always going to be forever and ever. They're saying that 1.5 million tests will be available in the U.S. By the end of this week. So they definitely are making sure that they have the, what's necessary to try to treat, or at least try to find out even if the person has it, and then what the next step will be. So we're still praying for some sort of cure, some sort of medication for it that's gonna knock this out. They say that the disease thrives in cold weather, so they're hoping that once the weather starts to warm up, that it will begin to die off. As of now, you guys just continue to practice really clean habits. Wash your hands. Try not to be around people that are coughing a lot. Keep your distance from folks. Other than that, they don't really know much else that you can do to protect yourself. But yeah, washing their hands, that's one of the big things. I know they're saying that the hand sanitizer is, they're running out and nobody has it and all of that. But they're also saying that hand sanitizer is really not protecting you the way that soap and water can, okay? And that hand sanitizer is also very bad for your skin if you use it repeatedly. So just make sure you washing up. Just make sure that you cleaning your hands all the time after you touch things, that, especially things that the public has touched. Just be careful out there, okay? Y'all just be careful out there. Guys, so one of the Roxstars reached out to me the other day and was telling me about the Honeypot, and I had no idea what was going on with the Honeypot. I had never even heard of it, but evidently it was a company called the Honeypot. It was owned by a black young lady. Her name is B. Dixon. She is the CEO of that company. They specialize in products that has herbal elements that will clean the feminine, it's for feminine hygiene, basically. The product had been picked up by Target to be distributed. So she was selling her things in the store and online. Target, because it was Black History Month last month, they had a series of commercials, and it was called Founders We Believe In. B. Dixon was one of the founders that they, featured on a commercial. And it was a 30-second slot, like, commercials can be. And at the end, she says the reason why it's so important for Honeypot to do well is so that the next Black girl that comes up with a great idea, she can have a better opportunity. Okay. Now, I don't know where along the lines that, the others, that's all we'll say, where other people thought that the fact that she's trying to empower Black girls means that she's trying not to empower anybody else. Okay. First of all, Black people can't never just empower Black people. It always turns out that it's being reverse racism and all, when we always have to get some sort of empowerment from people outside of our race. Okay. Can you not let us celebrate when there is a Black person out there that's doing something that we can look up to and say, wow, I want to be like her? Where is the fucking problem in that? Well, somewhere along the line, the others felt like, it was being racist, that she wasn't trying to help little white girls. It's the same shit that they pulled with the Black Lives Matter. Okay, remember when they were saying no, all lives matter? And they never wanted to go on and admit that Black Lives Matter. We can never single out ourselves. If you would include us in shit in the first place, we wouldn't feel the need to always feel like we have to single ourselves out, you know? But that's neither here nor there. So people went on to her website and left very bad reviews. But let me tell you how God works, see, because whenever you try to do wrong, what did Nene say, honey? You never win when you play dirty, right? So all these people went onto her, onto the website, on Target's website, I'm assuming, and maybe possibly her own personal website for the product as well, left bad reviews, said it was horrible, went on and on and on. And it was quickly found out that these reviews were fake reviews, or people who were just upset with, you know, what was going on, feeling like Target was supporting a racist company. Once people found out that they were doing this to her, many people began to rally behind her. And I'm assuming that it's a lot of black people that are rallying behind her. Probably knew nothing about this product, including myself. I knew nothing about this product, but I am definitely going to seek it out now. They went on to the website and made sure that they bought up all of her products. So now sales have surged, and she's sold out in a lot of things. And whereas a group of people tried to damage this woman's brand and her reputation, it just didn't work. And see, that's what I said. God don't like ugly, okay? And this woman ain't did nothing but try to help her community. And here y'all go with this bullshit. So she came out on top, and that usually happens to people who have good intentions and are good people. Eventually, they come out winning. So good for B. Dixon. Like I said, I don't really know much about the product, but I'll look into it. But they're saying that a lot of it is sold out, but we'll keep an eye out because I want to see her do well. Fist pump of righteousness for that black girl magic. Okay, y'all just ain't gonna get enough of us. So it was all over the blogs yesterday. They say that Nicki Minaj's husband, what's his first name? It ain't Tom, huh? His last name is Petty. Tom Petty is not her husband. Let's just call him Mr. Petty. So you guys know that her newlywed husband that she has, he has had legal problems in the past. He was convicted and did go to jail for some years for first-degree rape when he was a teenager. And after that conviction, once you get out of jail, you always have to register as a sex offender. Okay, so he was registered as a sex offender in New York. But when he moved to the West Coast to be with his now wife, Nicki Minaj, he did not register as a sex offender. So he moved there, I believe, in July of last year, and he was stopped, I believe they said in November of last year, just a regular routine traffic stop. And that was when they found out that he did not register. He was supposed to take care of that. He was made aware that he needed to make sure that he registered as a sex offender, and he still had not. So yesterday, I guess there was a warrant that was placed out for him. He did turn himself in to the U.S. Marshals, I believe they said it was, and he was let go on a $20,000 bail, or bond, whatever it's called. And now he's expected to go back to court on March 23rd. So we can kind of try to figure out where we go from now. So they're saying that if you don't register for as a sex offender, then there's jail time that comes with that. He's facing like 10 years in prison for that, you know. And man, that seems like you would make sure that you register yourself, just so you wouldn't have to go back to jail for some, you know. It's just like, why wouldn't he do that? Especially when everybody knows that he was a sex offender to begin with. I mean, you know, the average person, you wouldn't know that. Somebody that you know, might be standing next to at the grocery store, you wouldn't know that. But when it's a celebrity husband, because he's not a celebrity, but when he's married to Nicki Minaj, I mean, we already know that you went to jail for rape. So this is just something that you just have to do. And so I just don't understand why they hadn't taken care of that, because who needs this extra, troubles in their life? Now, it's not really known what's going to happen in that case there. If they don't get something figured out on March 23rd, then they are actually going to go to trial on April 28th. So hopefully they'll figure out something and flesh it out. But yes, this ain't good news for Mr. Petty and Nicki. All right, you guys. So Meg Thee Stallion and her label issues. So here's the thing. I knew that when she went on to her Instagram stories and blasted the story about how she was signed to 1501 Certified Entertainment. That's a record label that's owned by Carl Crawford. If you guys aren't familiar with that name, he is the baby daddy of Evelyn Lozada's last little kid that she had. Former Dodger. Okay, he decided to go from sports playing and invest his money into a record label. Well, she is signed to his independent label. She signed back when she was 20 years old. Her mother did. Her mother acted as her manager back then. So the mom handled all of the contractual agreements, signed her daughter to this deal, and it's been all good, we suppose, ever since. Now, you guys know that Meg Thee Stallion's mother died last year. After that, I'm assuming that a few things happened. Meg Thee Stallion was on a very steady increase with the whole hot girl summer thing. She was non-problematic as Nicki Minaj and Cardi B were going back and forth with each other. It kind of allowed Meg Thee Stallion to just kind of come on in and kind of place herself out there, and she got a lot of fans. She became very hot. She was a hot commodity. She was a hot thing. But as she explained in her Instagram rant, when she went, I'm not sure when she ended up meeting with Rockefeller, and they ended up signing her to a management deal, not a record deal, a management deal. And that can't be a bad thing. I mean, that's a huge record label. I mean, a huge entertainment company that is representing her. Of course, that's Jay-Z's company. So not a bad move for her, right? However, when the lawyers went to look at her contract that she had, they pointed out some issues with it. Now, anybody who knows even a little tiny bit about the music industry will tell you that many people that get started as artists and want an album put out, they will sign fucked up ass deals. They'll sign 360 deals, and this is the case here. Because they want to get their music out, they want to make it happen, and the deal is presented to them. And a lot of times these artists, if they don't have like legal representation, for them, then you can sign your life away, or you can sign yourself to some fucked up ass deals, which, I mean, there's no excuse anymore. I mean, we have heard this story so many times that you can't say, I didn't know I was too young. You just can't do that no more, right? You just can't do it. So I don't really have sympathy for her there, okay? Even if it was her mother who, God rest her mother's soul, even if it was her mother who did sign her to this deal, I mean, this is the contract that you guys signed. So in the contract, evidently, the proceeds that came from any profit that she made, 60% of it went to the record label, 40% went to Meg Thee Stallion. Now, on top, that doesn't sound bad. 40%, that doesn't sound bad at all. However, in the fine print, she was responsible for paying sound engineers and mixers and features and all of that. All of that had to come out of her pocket, which left her very little in the end, if anything. Okay, so she didn't realize that this was going on until her new management with Rockefeller pointed that out to her, and she felt like, oh, okay, they probably advised her to try to renegotiate, let's try to renegotiate this contract. This is her side, I'm telling you. We'll get to Carl's side in a second. So she went on to explain in her Instagram Live that when they approached 1501, that's when everything went left. Okay, and now 1501 was trying to keep her from releasing her new music. She has a new album that's supposed to come out tomorrow called Sugar. And 1501, I guess, must have told her, you can't release it because our contract says that you can't release anything that we haven't approved. So that was the problem there. She didn't understand. She felt like, oh, we've been family all this time. Like, why wouldn't they renegotiate, you know, and all of that. And when she blasted it, I was like, this is not going to be good. I mean, we've kind of seen these things happen a little bit over the years. But now with social media, you know, we're going to really kind of know the whole full story. So Carl Crawford comes back. Actually, let me back up again. So yesterday, Meg Thee Stallion was able to go to a court in, I think, Harris County, Texas. Don't quote me on that. But she went to a court in Texas, and she was able to get a temporary restraining order that keeps 1501 Entertainment from holding back her album. She's going to be able to release her album tomorrow. They cannot stop it. They cannot stop any social media promotions or anything that she does regarding this album tomorrow. They just can't do it. Okay. Now, Carl Crawford, who is the owner of this label, came back and said everything that she's saying is lies. He's very upset that this temporary restraining order was even placed on them when he wasn't able to give his side of the story. So today he's supposed to be trying to get into that courthouse so that they can give their side, present the contract that was a legally binding contract that Meg and her mom, or Meg, you know, signed to. And it is what it is. She signed this deal. They cannot, you know, override. You know, it wouldn't be fair for her, for this contract to be overridden just because she feels like she should be able to release the album. He went on to say that, you know, Rockefeller was kind of picking on the little guy, him not being well versed in, you know, in the music industry and having to hire people to do these things for him inside of it. He felt like Rockefeller just was, you know, giving the whole Suge Knight tactic of sending in, you know, some big ass, mean ass, scary ass lawyers and demanding all of these things. And of course, when you come in and you approach somebody like that, you're not going to get the best response. So he's saying that he was approached by these people. They were trying to basically rob him. They were trying to just cut him out of all of everything when he has given Meg Thee Stallion her start. Now, see, the sad thing about these stories is you have people that start off as a family at the beginning, but once money starts to get made and once people start to get in your ear and you guys, you know, you start to listen to things and, you know, then that friendship that started at the beginning, of course, it gets buried or it gets messed up. Feelings get involved, you know, people get upset, and then it gets all fucked up. But Carl Crawford is fighting back and saying, absolutely not. You know, this is not fair. We haven't done anything wrong. I think that if she would have tried to renegotiate without trying to bring in the heavy hitters from Rockefeller the way that she did, then maybe it would have turned out differently. Because them renegotiating, she was still signed to the label. Maybe she could have made it so that everybody made even more money, you know? So Carl Crawford goes on to accuse her of booking gigs and not paying the label. And she goes on to accuse him of, you know, aligning himself with Jay Prince from Rap-A-Lot Records. You know, Jay Prince is big in the rap industry in the South especially, and that they kind of on this campaign to kind of besmirchify, you know, shout out to Don King, her name. They were probably the ones, she believes that they're the ones that released a story about her getting arrested, you know, 5 years ago, fighting with her boyfriend. And she kind of feels like they have threatened her, and are trying to intimidate her as well. So now it's all these accusations. It's a lot of big names that are involved. At the end of the day, it's Meg Thee Stallion's career, and it's going to be really too bad if she gets caught up in this fight over her contract and then her music, which, you know, I like Meg Thee Stallion. I think she's a talented girl. But, you know, we've seen people get, I mean, Lil Wayne couldn't do nothing for years and years and years and years because he was caught up in all of this shit. And it'll be sad to see, even though their stories are different. But, you know, I'm just saying, like, we have seen people get shelved, talented people who should have music out there. And, you know, the iron is hot for her right now. And it would be just a shame for her to be caught up in all of this legal shit and not be able to get her music out. So that is what is happening there. We're going to find out today whether or not Carl Crawford was able to stop that temporary restraining order, and if she is going to be able to put her album out. We will definitely know, though, by tomorrow. If you guys don't see her album cover everywhere with the lips and the teeth out, then that means that he was successful. We'll keep our eye on it, you guys, and when I know more, you'll know more. Okay, you guys, so Nene was on the Breakfast Club the other day. I got in my car, and right when I got in, I happened to be in my car pretty early that day, so I was actually able to listen to the interview. And, you know, if you've heard one Nene Leakes interview, then you've heard them all, because it's pretty much the same thing. Cynthia and her used to be sisters, and now she's done something that's unforgivable. You know, they're okay, but they'll never be the same way. Everybody fights with her on the show because that makes sure that they have a storyline. Kenya is a horrible person, but she's great for the show. She's the one that created Real Housewives of Atlanta. That's her baby, etc., etc., etc. It's always the same things. What made this interview a little bit different than the rest is that Charlemagne the God is, he will ask questions that maybe people are a little uncomfortable asking. He obviously had a lot of information, especially with him being involved with trying to sue Wendy Williams and her husband Kevin Hunter. So he's kind of privy to a lot of behind the scenes information that other people weren't able to. Even Nene laughed to herself. She was like, well, you know a lot, don't you? But he did mention that he asked her if she was you know, if Wendy was the reason why her show was canceled. Actually, he didn't ask her. He said, you know, Wendy and her husband are the reason why your show was canceled, right? And, you know, you could tell that Nene didn't really want to answer this question, but it was interesting to me because, yeah, I forgot all about the fact that she was supposed to have a talk show. I mean, they used to talk about that quite a bit, and then all of a sudden it was just you never heard anything else about it. What she ended up saying was that Kevin Hunter was probably the person who stopped that, not necessarily Wendy Williams, but Wendy Williams, who happened to always have her man's back no matter what when they were married. You know, if he said no, then I guess Wendy Williams was saying no too. So she kind of felt like it was Kevin, not Wendy, and has chosen to just let bygones be bygones and not hold Wendy Williams to it for that. She did finally say, she had to finally say, a lot of times people might be intimidated and just don't want you to do something that they already do so well. If they feel threatened by you, then maybe that's why they stop it. Now, I don't know if I feel like Nene was going to take over Wendy's lane at all. Wendy had been doing that for years and years and years and years. But, I mean, you can see how people would be like, no, we don't need two very tall, you know, very strong black women, in your face, shady. We don't need that exact same show twice on the air. So she was like, you know, even if it was me, I probably would have done the same thing. She tried to soften it up by saying that. But, you know, she said that she just doesn't really care anymore. You know, it was big at the time, but, you know, maybe the timing just wasn't right. And now nobody wants to see a Nene. I mean, would you guys want to see a Nene talk show now? No, I wouldn't. So, yeah, it was interesting. But other than that, I don't feel like the interview was anything more eye-opening. I knew when he brought up Wendy Williams cutting off her show, that would be the story that the blogs picked up, and sure enough it was. But that was it. You guys didn't miss anything else. Did you guys listen to the interview? What did you think about it? And then lastly, in quickies, you guys, Claudia Jordan, I guess congratulations are in order. They're saying that she hinted yesterday or the other day that she was on her way to Atlanta and she was on her way to the Tyler Perry studios. And people were able to quickly find out that she was the new host for the Love and Hip Hop Miami reunion. Now, not surprising at all that Nene is not going to be the host for that. I feel like Nene is probably about burnt out. I think she's about over hosting. And so it was time to phase out Nene and probably bring somebody else in as a host. But I am kind of surprised that it would be Claudia Jordan, because Claudia has a certain level of petty and shadiness and you know, the level of ratchetness, the ratchetry and the fool little fucking niggatry that happens over on Love and Hip Hop Miami. I can see very easily how a lot of those ladies might be put off by it. So I'm just hoping that Claudia Jordan doesn't feel the need to be confrontational with these girls, because nobody wants to see the hostess getting into it with the fucking cast, okay? But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how she handles it. This might be a really good thing for her. I guess she has a show on the BET, the streaming service. So she's been trying her hand at talking to people and, you know, getting cozy with them and trying to make them comfortable and all of that. So maybe this will be a good thing for her, but we'll see, you guys. I never thought that I would see Claudia Jordan, though, anything mixed up with Love and Hip Hop, though. Did you? And speaking of Love and Hip Hop Miami, Stevie J and his comments about the women on the show, you know, and their fucked up hair. I mean, listen, yeah, the hair can be fucked up on the show, but I just get annoyed for some reason when men, you know, when they just give their opinions like this. Like, why are you so fucking worried about it? Can you worry about your shit that's going on over there and let these women, if that's the style and what they do down there in Miami, even though, you know, child, it can be a little trying, you know, but just something about when men always want to talk about lace fronts and wigs and all of this. It's just like, but your girl wears wigs and weaves and all of that. They may not be as hideous as that can be on Love and Hip Hop Miami or any other reality show, but still, I just was just like, So he said what he had to say, calling them, saying they all look like nuts out there and that they need to fire their hair and makeup people. Trick Daddy had to come on and defend the honor of the women of Miami. And of course, you know, Stevie J had to come back and backpedal real fast, because Trick said that he will, slap a nigga in they motherfucking face, okay? And it don't need to come to that. Just let them girls be them girls. That's just kind of what they do down there. I mean, it just all comes with the package. How about men don't worry about women's hair? That's all I'm saying. It seems that Ray and Prinky have signed on to argue on Zeus Network. That's right, you guys. You can see them try to hash out their problems as if we didn't get enough of that shit on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. Now they're going to talk about, you know, Prinky feeling abandoned by Ray J. She said that she was not able to ever talk to him. This was the only way that she was able to talk to him. And I was like, great. So instead of us seeing her whine and complain about him not being around on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, now we have to actually sit and watch it on Zeus, okay? And of course, Ray J agreed to do this because Ray J loves to be in front of the camera, you know, basically at any cost. So this kind of works out for both of them. I don't have any plans of subscribing to Zeus to see it, but if I can find it free somewhere, you know, and I can watch it, I will definitely talk about it. I'm not sure if it'll get its own video or if it'll be on top of the blogs, but yeah, I mean, I'm open to doing something like that, but I'm just sort of like, why is it that we have to talk about our marital issues on something such as this? I mean, this is, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's like a pay-per-view. You know, a pay-per-view argument between an actual married couple with babies and everything. It's just sort of like, oh. And I love Prinky for all of her pettiness, but also she kind of gets on my nerves. She's a little bit annoying because she's just a whiner and she needs some friends, y'all. Somebody be friends with this girl. And then she's hooked up with Ray, who is just loves all the attention and kind of just, you can see where he would be annoying to be with too. So, I mean, it's coming up soon, you guys. Actually, I think It's going to release very, very soon. Like, I almost want to say in the next day or two. I might be wrong about that, but you guys can go on to Zeus Network, I'm sure, and find out the dates and find out what's eating Prinky and Ray. And lastly, you guys, Making the Band, that show is coming back. You guys remember that show from the early 2000s with Diddy as a host. It will be returning. And that's because Diddy has proclaimed that, you know, there is a shortage of R&B out there and that he is determined to bring it back for you guys. They're going from city to city and they're trying to gather up talent and, you know, yada, yada, yada. If you guys watch the show Rhythm and Flow on Netflix, I was like, I wonder if that show actually motivated them to try to do something again. Hustle and, what's it called? Rhythm and Flow. It was a very well produced. They spent a lot of money on it, you can tell. It was a competition show where people were trying to get a rap deal, win something like $250,000, and it was very well entertaining, very well put together. It was a great show. I was actually very shocked with how much money that they invested in that show. So now that they're going to do Making the Band, I'm really hoping that they put the money aside to make it a really decent and quality show again, because now reality shows are so cheap to put together. And it's so many of them that, you know, the quality of the shows from the past are not quite the same as they, you know, are today. And so we'll just see. But yeah, it's coming back. They're saying that him and Dawn from Last Train to Paris, she's going to be one of the judges. They're saying Lorianne Gibson is going to be one of the judges. And I'm sure we'll hear more about it. I don't really have any desire to see any group that Diddy puts together. You know, I just don't. But I think that this generation can probably appreciate another show like this. I'm good, though. Let me get off of here. I'm about to get me a Big Mac, some fries, and a drink, and take it on back to work, okay? We do this every single week, so make sure that you rate, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you come back. Until next time, Roxstars. Bye.